Sound Commerce is a retail data platform that helps retailers drive profitable growth by shifting focus from backwards-looking, revenue-based averages to forward-looking, profit-based awareness and decision-making. With Sound Commerce, retailers have confidence that every decision and dollar drives profitable growth. Learn more at soundcommerce.com/total retail.
Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan, Editor-in-Chief of Total Retail. I am here at the CRMC show in Chicago, and I am joined by Melissa Gonzalez, who is the CEO of the Lionesque Group, as well as the principal at MG2. Melissa just gave a presentation here on stage regarding the use of stores and the positioning of stores as a point of loyalty for retailers. So we're going to talk to her a little bit about that. So thanks for joining me, Melissa.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, Joe.
Yeah, so as I noted, you just got off stage, and the title of your presentation was The Stores as a Point of Loyalty. So talk a little bit about that and what you mean by that.
Absolutely. I think there is a tremendous opportunity when we think about building human connection in physical spaces. And so my talk today was sort of a virtual convention hunting tour of brands and retailers globally who have done a great job of thinking differently about the opportunity of the touch point of a store. You know, at the end of the day, customers think of brands not as channels that they're interacting with, but as a brand. But there is still an opportunity in physical spaces to deliver something a little bit different. And I think that if you do that well, it's an opportunity to further enhance customer loyalty.
Given where we've been at in not only the country, but the world over the last 18 plus months, and the role, consumers obviously not being as willing in some cases to go into stores, I'm interested in your perspective on what you think consumers' expectations are of the physical brick and mortar retail. Has it changed over the last year plus? Maybe it hasn't changed. What's kind of your thoughts on that in terms of when consumers go into stores, what the experiencing they're expecting?
Yeah, I think that the bar is higher. I think over the past year, there was a lot of forgiveness, and everybody, was just trying to be patient with each other. But as consumer behaviors have shifted and our how we interact with brands has evolved, as there's been an increased adoption of technology, of contactless payments, of flexible fulfillment, the purpose of the store evolves, right? It's not just about transaction. Even the grocery store, think about the adoption we saw of people who would shop online that never did before. So you have to give a reason for people to come out and take the trek and spend time. And so I think the expectation is it's either going to be really efficient, or there's going to be elements of surprise and delight. There's going to be questions answered that I can't answer when I interact online. Or maybe there is that sense of community and that I'm craving that I don't get to have even if I'm interacting with you through social media.
Correct, yeah. One of the things that we've seen, this trend was happening pre-pandemic, but certainly accelerated over the last year plus, is kind of the evolution of the physical retail stores, more than just to what you were just talking about, more than just a place that you go for transactions, experiences as well. But also now retailers are layering in these other services in stores, from buy online, pick up in store, and curbside, and shipping product from store that's bought online. I'm interested in your perspective on how you think that'll impact consumers' interactions and how they perceive the store and going forward, and kind of the role that you see the physical retail store playing in retailers' organizations going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think it takes a different approach on the brand and retailer side to think about it from a more holistic standpoint. So whether you're thinking of kind of your fleet of destination as a whole, knowing that you're going to serve different purposes in different markets, right? Sometimes it might be that flagship destination. Other times maybe it's a smaller format, more localized store experience. And other times it might be around fulfillment. And then other times it's about creating environments that could flex to be sometimes a point of discovery and sometimes a point of fulfillment. I think when it comes to buy online, pick up in store, or curbside, that's an expectation now that fluidity is going to exist. So the next stage is how do we add those layers of icing on top of that? How do we think more holistically of how this can be a positive experience for the customer? Some of that might be those QSR metrics of get in and out. They're expecting it same day, same hour. We got to program those notifications. But others on top of that could be like, okay, well, once they're coming here anyway, what's the opportunity, right? Yeah. And how can we communicate with them in a way that's in service to them, whether it's you bought this, here's other products on sale today, or here's a compliment to what you just already ordered that we have in store. Or it could be, as I mentioned in my presentation, a little bit more of that Nordstrom local approach where it's how am I in service of you while you're at that point of pickup, allowing you to unbox, discard the cardboard, wrap it on the site if it's a gift that for a party you're heading to, return it immediately if it's not a fit, meet with a tailor if it needs an alteration. And those are all opportunities.
Yeah, that's a good segue into what I wanted to follow up. You mentioned Nordstrom Local. I was going to ask you if there are certain retailers that you wanted to identify or examples that you think are doing a good job at this, whether Nordstrom Local or others that you think would be worth citing.
Sure. Yeah. I think I mentioned that I think they've been a leader in thinking about flexible fulfillment. Nike is another one that I had in the presentation with their live stores, and now they've launched their Rise stores in Asia, and their opportunity, because they have such an active in-app audience, to listen and analyze that data and utilize that information to be better in service of their customers, creating better curated product, really knowing what a certain locale or neighborhood wants, and bringing that into the in-store experience. We've talked about personalization for how many years, and now it's about taking that to the next level of not just personalization through personas that are created, but really personalization on a more individualized level, because we have this information and understand your interests, your wants, your past purchases, what maybe you added to your cart, and how can we utilize that information to be better for you.
Building on that last point around the personalization, most people think of traditional personalization, they're thinking of online, whether it's digital channels such as email, and personalized communications that way from retailers. Specific to the store level, talk a little bit about how you think retailers can personalize that in-store experience, and also those surprise and delight experiences that they might not be expecting that are able to be personalized to customers as well.
Yeah, I think an example for me that I think of, who I think's been a leader in doing that a bit, is Starbucks. Yeah. And if you think about the stickiness that they've created in their in-app experience, they know my favorite drink. They know to tell me that the pumpkin spice latte's back. They know when it's my birthday. They know what breakfast items I may or may not have eaten. They're rewarding me for what I'm doing. And I think that sometimes it could be just those layers. I think there's also an opportunity of understanding the behavior that I'm taking online and offline, right? And I think the more and more we can figure out the right systems to tie those two together, the more powerful it can be. So that if you're entering a store, maybe you take it as far because I've opted in to know that I've entered that store, and that sales associate knows I'm there and what I bought last time, and they already know my size and my fit, and they can make recommendations. I think another example of one that doesn't have a significant store footprint, but is an example of the opportunity around all that data, is Rent the Runway. Mm-hmm. And if you think about what makes that powerful, is that they can continuously improve their algorithm of what they're showing to me based on knowing what I've rented in the past, what I've liked, what I haven't liked as much, what I loved. They create this trajectory of understanding what are my entry-level designers that get me to the more high-end designers? How are they curing it in that way? And so to me, those are all the opportunities where you're constantly learning from what I'm doing and you're better servicing me.
So one of the themes over the last couple of days here at the conference is the increasing value of first-party data, moving into a future with the elimination of cookies. I know that was pushed, but it's still coming at some point. So can you talk a little bit about that in terms of what that might mean for retailers in regards to their future personalization efforts, and increasing the importance of establishing loyalty programs and other ways to collect this valuable information from their customers so that they can then in turn provide those personalized experiences?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, as consumers, we're pretty willing to share if we know it's a benefit to us. So I know that might sound intuitive, but it sounds creepy when you think of it like, oh, you're saving cookies and you're tracking all this information. Alexa's listening to me in my home, whatever it
Right,
is,
yeah.
right? But at the end of the day, the fact that if I bring up Alexa as an example, that I could just stand next to my refrigerator and add things to my shopping list. And then she can say to me, hey, do you want me to just purchase that right now for you? Like, everything is another layer of convenience that's being given to me. It's making me more open to opt in.
Yeah.
And it's, so what are you doing to make your customers excited to opt in? And then they will be willing to give you that information if they know that they're always getting a benefit back.
Yeah, right. At the end of the day, if you're giving them value, convenience, benefits that they value, then they're willing to provide their information. So I'll close with this one, Melissa. Just kind of looking ahead, what do you see in terms of the landscape of your presentation was a lot around brick and mortar, but it doesn't have to be specific to brick and mortar. Where the loyalty industry is headed, and what do you kind of see next as the major important focal points for retailers to be kind of tracking?
I think people really value rewards. I think around loyalty, there's a lot of conversation, like, is it about having first access? Is it having, I think being rewarded for being loyal, which, so maybe that sounds intuitive, but that is the opportunity, right? And also I think the opportunity is around just making things more accessible and convenient to me. So another example I'll give, and a reason as a customer I've been loyal to Sephora, for example, is I reliably can go into my app and know what lipstick shade I ordered last time, eyeliner. There's a number of things that I can get caught in this rabbit hole going online that then makes me pause, like, oh, I don't know if I have the time to go through all of that to figure all this out again. But this is saved in my profile now. And I know that if that eyeshadow is sold out or that lipstick, it's going to make me the next closest recommendation. Yeah. It's going to tell me the last time I had a refill of something. It's going to remember when my birthday is, and it's always going to send me a gift for that. It's giving me rewards. But it's a mix, because to me, it's not only about the rewards, it's about those conveniences of not, right, of having almost this personal assistant for me.
Yeah, it's ready there for you.
That has it ready there for me. And I think that's a big opportunity, or to be able to make those what feels like a very personalized recommendation based on my behaviors. And it makes you feel that brand knows you on a more personal level.
Maybe one more too. I'm interested in your take on the future of premium loyalty, with obviously the overwhelming success of Prime and more and more organizations rolling out premium paid loyalty.
Yeah.
Do you see that as an opportunity? Obviously, I think it comes down to, does it make sense for your brand or your customers? Are you able to provide benefits that your customers may be willing to pay for? But just curious your perspective on what your outlook is for potentially the growth of premium and paid loyalty.
Yeah, I think the first level is making sure all those benefits are very purposeful, because I think that provides the most value over the bells and whistles. But I think sometimes when you think of the luxury kind of segment, they appreciate the bells and whistles a bit too. Yeah. It's like that is what is luxury. It's almost that I don't need to have it
a little bit,
but I'm being pampered.
Yeah.
But I think when you can create moments that a customer feels that everything that you're giving them is a gift, and they almost forget they even paid for it, right, that's the opportunity, right? Because they technically probably paid a little bit more to get that extra box, that extra ribbon, those extra in the price that they paid, but they forget.
And
when it arrives, it's like, oh, I got this present today. Technically, I paid for it for myself, but you forget that part. Yeah. And to me, that's the opportunity of that icing that you can deliver when you think about premium loyalty.
Yeah, I always joke about Prime, free shipping. But you've already paid $100 for it, So, but it's a great example. I want to take this opportunity to thank Melissa Gonzalez, the CEO of the Lionesque Group, as well as the principal at MG2 for joining us today here at CRMC. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at mytotalretail.com/podcast for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Total Retail Talks.
Sound Commerce is a retail data platform aligning marketing, merchandising, and operations data to unlock valuable insights and deliver profitable growth. Learn more at soundcommerce.com/totalretail.